Hi, good morning, folks. How are you? It is Simon here, and we are doing May 2025's live stream. Now, we're just going to wait for everybody to come in before we get going. If you're watching on the replay, I do appreciate this is a bit boring, so just bear with me 2 seconds. We'll just wait for everybody to get here. If you are here, tell us you're here in the comments. I am quite a needy person, so that always helps. Can I tell you that I know that people are here and watching and waiting and ready to go. We have got a cool class for you today. It was suggested by one of my Patreon students, Sam. He asked basically how you can use triads and sort of parts, or effectively parts of chords, we'll talk about that a bit more in a second, to get into put them in your soloing, basically. Now, I also need to check that everybody can hear me. Hey, Bill. Hi, Sam. I am here. That's great to hear. Hey, Bill. How are you? Hope the hand is going okay. Right. So we're just going to plow on, and the people in the replay can just check it out afterwards. So, number one. Today, what we are going to do is, number one, we're going to learn what triads are. Then we're going to learn how to see them across the fretboard. We're going to learn how to build lead phrases up around them, and how to target some of those chord tones in part of your solo to kind of make it sound extra awesome. Just on that, one of the things I love doing when I go and see a band or whatever is hearing the guitar player or whatever lead instrument player actually hit a note in the chord when he finishes his phrase or she finishes her phrase. It just makes everything just sound awesome. So anyway, let's kick it off. So triads, what are triads? Well, triads aren't really just chords. A triad is a 3-note chord made from the root, the third, major or minor, and the fifth. So why we do that is that it outlines a harmony of the tune, adds structure and melody to the tune, and it makes everything sound a bit more intentional and song-like. And I think one of the things you can recognize from it is a bit brisk in Melbourne this morning. Oh, well, there you go. I mean, it's pretty brisk here, but I mean, I'm a bit of a softie. I've got like 5,000 layers on. Anyway, thanks for letting me know you can hear everything, Bill. So it allows you to hear the chord. So I didn't really play like chord there, but I sort of pulled them apart, and you can kind of hear. You see what I mean? Okay, so let me get back on my little plan here. Let's put that this side of the screen and put you guys this side of the screen. Perfect. All right, now, so the first thing you really need to do, I guess, is you need to have pretty good understanding of chords, right? You need to know, we're going to focus on basically 2 different types of triads today. Effectively, E-shape triads. Wow, the air quotes have come out. And A-shape triads. Now, what that means is that we have got, see this here, this is an E-shaped bar chord, so E major. And this guitar won't stand tune. E-shaped triads. So you can see it was just an E major. And if we think of the top 3 strings, we've got E, B, and G sharp. Now, if we re-finger that and free up our index finger, we can move it up to F. And there's A. So you're always thinking about what the root note is, right? Because this is an A. Okay, so that is an E-shaped triad. Okay. Now, here is an A-shaped triad. Here's an A major, and we refinger that. That's a D. Okay, so we've got E, and A, and A, and D. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about triads. So you've really got to get on top of that and get that in your head first before we can kind of really use them. You have to be able to get to them pretty quickly to think that, okay, well, I've got A here, I've got D, I've got E, and so on and so forth. Okay. All right. So that's the two things that we're going to try and use. Now, it would be great if you had a guitar with you at the moment. So if you can grab a guitar, doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be an electric guitar, an acoustic guitar can be anything. So the very first thing we're going to do is, like I said, that's what triads are. That's how you're going to see them across the fretboard. Always thinking of what shape it is and where your root note is. Something that always really helped me when I was learning this stuff is that if I've got an E-shaped chord, the root is going to be on the E string. If I've got an A-shaped chord, the root is going to be on the A string. That's it, right? Pretty straightforward. Also, I should mention, if you have any questions as we go, fire it up. Just type me a little note and I'll find out the question eventually when it comes up onto my screen here. Okay, so those are triads. That's how we see them on the neck. Let's do some guitar playing. Now, one of the cool things is sliding into the chord. So imagine if let's just put a little track together here. That is an A. It's an A shuffle kind of pattern, right? We're going. So put your second finger on the G string and you're going to slide into 6. Now, what we just did there is we slid from B to C sharp. C sharp is the major third of A major. We're playing an A. Right? Now, you have a go. Slide from B to C sharp on the G string. Anytime you like. Okay. I hope you had a go at that. So that is cool. But, it's, whatever. Not really much to it, is there? So let's add some extra notes around that and finish sliding from B to C sharp. Sounds like a good idea. So what's the first thing that everybody thinks of when you play that kind of A bluesy shuffle thing? No need for answers on a postcard. I think of A minor pentatonic. That's what I think of. I think of this. Blah, 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 blah. Right. Now that is awesome by itself. And I'm not trying to discount how awesome that is, because it is truly awesome. But we can make it more awesome, I know it seems impossible, by finishing into the chord. And that's how we're going to start to use these triads in this kind of guitar playing. It's pretty exciting. So let's just pick something easy. Or let's have something a bit more. It's pretty nice. So, got a G, E, D, B, C sharp. That's going to be our phrase. Let's see how it sounds. Now, you see how you're coming back into the chord. If we add more notes from the chord, and then suddenly you feel like you've come home to a certain degree. Do you know what I mean? right? So like one of the most famous sorts of things like this in the blues pantheon of licks is in a kind of slow blues. You hear that? Da, 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 da. Right? You hear that kind of thing all the time, and they are just literally right, and then right, outlining the chords by using this shape and this shape, which are the E and A shapes that we spoke about at the very beginning of the lesson. If you've just joined in, I can see there's more people in the room. Say g'day in the chat, introduce yourselves. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. I am here for you. Sponsored by, of course, my lovely people at Patreon. So that is something you can do, right? Now, using one note as a landing point at the end of your phrase over that kind of thing is awesome. So you have a pentatonic lick. Whoops. At the end of your thing. And so then what you'll get is, let me just put some more chords in. Let's imagine we're playing a slow blues and it goes like. Right, that's enough of that. Okay, so we've got A, D coming. A. F sharp is the third of D. Oh, it would have been D if I put the D chord in the looper. But do you see what I mean? Like, so it takes you away from all that kind of stuff, which is like it's great. Like, I'm not trying to say it's not great. It is great, but like you have an extra kind of, hey, I know what I'm doing here because I'm following the chords a little bit with my triads. Okay. All right. So outside of blues stuff, do we have any examples of that happening in the real world? Well, of course we do. There are absolutely heaps of awesome songs that do this. Will this work? This will work in any kind of situation. So if you've got a heavy rock thing, I don't know what kind of heavy rock thing you're thinking of, but if you're doing like let's do a heavy rock thing. Let me think of a heavy rock thing. How's it go? No. That's right. Right? Paranoid kind of thing. We could play E minor pentatonic over that, right? That would be fine. Let's just put a bit of a backing track together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So that's quite cool, right? But let's land on the major third there. It might sound a bit weird because I don't know if they do this in the song, but you could do this, right? See what I mean? I'm just doing that. Triad. All right, went a bit off piece there, but I hope that helps you out, Steve. So the things we are going to, it is awesome, I agree. The things we are going to talk about today, we're going to talk about 5 songs that I picked off the top of my head. Not that I think these are the greatest versions of that, or maybe 1 or 2 are the greatest versions of that, but we're going to talk through them. If you have any questions throughout, just let me know. The first one I always think of when I think of this kind of, I can hear the triads, is probably one of the easiest songs that you're ever going to learn. Basically, it's Brown Eyed Girl, because it goes. Now, everybody knows it goes. Right? Know that bit? That bit, right? So what is happening there? So we've got the chords G, da dun 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 dun, C, da dun 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 dun, G, da dun 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 dun, dun dun dun. Whoever is playing, I don't know who the guitar player is on this tune, but whoever it is, they really knew how to use triads, because there's lots of times where it starts off here. We've got G and B. Now, if we go back to our little E-shaped triad, remember we had that shape and we swapped it around. What do we have here? We've got G. So he picks B and G as the first thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what are those two other things that are happening? Well, he's leading here by playing a C and an A. It's still in key, we're in the key of G major, so C and A are both in key, right? And he's leading up to 7 and 7, or B and D. So the notes you'll find in G major are G, B, and D. So if you think about it, he's going from B and G to D and B. So he's outlined the whole chord in this little simple thing. So you got. You see how awesome it is? Now imagine if the song's doing that, and instead he plays like, probably isn't a hit, so he's working around the chords G. Then he does exactly the same thing. By the way, I should mention that this, see that? It looks like a D major. It's a D shape, right? So that's one that we didn't really talk about in terms of triads, but it's one that we're going to come to as well, right? So D, E, F, G. Make sense? So your root is going to be on the D string. This is a D-shaped chord. So he's going G, leading notes. Then he does exactly the same thing, right? He does exactly the same thing over C. It's pretty clever. And then he goes back. And then he plays D. But instead of going, because he's already repeated the same kind of vibe, he changes it to playing. But he still does kind of a lead into another note in the chord, because here he's got A and F sharp. Goes to it like a sus. Thanks, Michael. I really appreciate that. So, right? So he has played the chords underneath a G, G triad, C, 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 back to G, D. I'm not trying to say it's simple or that, like anybody can do this, but like it's not as rocket science as you would think, is it? Right? So if you have a situation like this, use this. It makes you sound amazing. And it just takes a bit of the pressure off having to come up with, something. All right. So that was a really easy one, right? Let's switch from that to maybe the best person at this in the history of playing the guitar. I don't know. Well, one of 2 or 3 people who's pretty good. This is a D minor. Okay, so this is the beginning of Sultans of Swing by Dire Straits, right? This bloke is awesome at this. I've got another example of his Brothers in Arms we're going to talk about in a second. So, D minor. Now you think about that, right? Think about that, D minor. Think about the song. Goes at the beginning, la da 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 da, ba 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 bam, ba ba bam. He makes the whole tune of the song out of this one chord, because the chord is sitting there. He's doing that, right? He's also using his fingers. I don't know how he does that. That's why he's Mark Knopfler and I'm not. So, but he starts on D. The chord is D minor. This is an A minor shaped bar chord, right? We've got. You can hear the chord, the triad there. We'll come to that in a second. So, D, C, A, chord, D minor 7. Those 3 notes out of the chord. Then, he's going to walk up, D minor, hits another C, which is also the dominant 7 of that chord, right? And then he hits a note that's not in the chord. Does he do that, or does he go? Not really sure, can't remember. And then finishes on a D. So he starts on A. You could even play it without moving. Amazing. You've got to say that is amazing, right? If you've never thought of that before, I remember the first time I thought about that in terms of these triads, and I was like, that is just awesome, hey? Like you even think of the solo that goes, so the chords, down, bow, bow, C, B flat, A, do, 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 do. And it also makes this whole process, makes the thing sing-alongable with, if you know what I mean. Ba-da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da, ba-ba-da, ba-ba-da-da-da, ba-ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. What's this called? Right, so let's maybe talk through the solo. We're here anyway, right? I can see if I can remember how it goes. Right, so this is G. He's going to bend into A. That's in D minor, right? A. And because he bends into it, it sounds cool, right? So, let me just put those chords in slowly. Then you can walk through. Excuse me. I'm going to put this bit as well. Enough. All right, so I'll play it slowly. Something like, don't say, oh, you didn't play it exactly right. I'm doing it off the top of my head. I haven't thought about this for ages. So, think he goes up A. Okay, right. So, number one. Right, so D minor, G over C, F over B flat, all in keys, all in the chords, and E rather, over the A. All of those notes are in each of those chords. So it sounds like lead guitar, but he's just playing notes out of the chords because he understands the interaction between the triad and the chord, right? He knows he's in D minor. You know, like imagine if it would have been like this. Like that stuff, that sounds fine, but it's nowhere near what ended up on the record, right? I was just playing in D minor pentatonic. Okay, so that right, then he runs this is a C-shaped bar chord, it's an A. The next chord is D minor. He plays a D minor triad. C over C, it's just the root note. B flat, because the chord is B flat here in this moment. A. Right, I think we've had enough of Sultans of Swing. I've got loads more examples. But you get the idea. Oh, I wanted to get to that F bit because it's my favorite bit. But that's right. Right, this is F. The chord underneath in this moment is F. So he bends G to A. That note there. And then right, crazy. So he bends from G to A, hits C in the chord, hits F in the chord, hits F in the chord, hits C in the chord, comes down from A to G, another one of those leading notes, a bit like in Brown Eyed Girl, and then lands on F, which is the chord again. Bloke's a genius. Anyway, so that is a really good one. Let's do another one. Okay, the one that, you know, every guitar player should know how to play this. How's it go? It's a pretty rough version of Little Wing. Okay, so I've played this song a lot. I was obsessed by this song when I was a teenager. And you literally can't, yeah, I know, with the Sultans. It's one of those songs, isn't it? I literally can't play that enough times. There's some songs you play and you're like, I really can't wait to learn how to play this song. And you learn it and you've been like, meh. And then you learn Sultans of Swing and you can play that forever. Okay, so now, triads in Little Wing. Right, so the chords E minor, G. So at the very front, he's played this E minor shape, you know, E minor triad as the bit, right? That's E minor. And then he does and then goes to G. Now, the thing that he is doing on all of his records is this kind of big thumb over the root, whether it's on the A or E strings, hitting the top there. G. A minor. So let's just talk about that very front bit. We don't have to do the whole thing. But literally every single chord he runs through in this whole song is using triads. You can learn loads of these from this bloke. He does it all the time. So there's G. This is that E-shaped triad we were talking about, right? If you do have any questions, don't be afraid. Shoot them across. That kind of thing. You see he's using other notes. This one and this one. This is the 9th of the scale. 6, 4 of the scale. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And you'll hear him do this. All the time. Okay, so that's how Jimi Hendrix example. I mean, you could do loads of his tunes. Oops. All of his things, like following the chords. Okay. Let It Be by the Beatles. C, G, A minor, F. Yes, all triads. That's exactly right. He's one of my favorites, old Steve Cropper. So, you know, like in, I don't know, pick your tune, but like in Soul Man. Is basically what the chords are, which, let's face it, it's not super exciting either. It's like G, C, G, G, C, G. That's pretty, but it's kind of a bit like Brown Eyed Girl, really. Right? It's cool. In Dock of the Bay. He's at it all the time. He is at it all the time. All right, so we're going to talk about Let It Be and the Beatles. There are so many examples, you see. I just picked up 3 or 4 off the top of my head. So Let It Be, A minor, F. This is going to be the last example. Then we're going to go back to the lesson plan. Something like that, solo. So what's happening there? So it's like, you know, yes, George Harrison use of triads in All My Loving. Yes, exactly. He loves it as well. I think a lot of these guys learnt the whole Cage thing. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? If you don't know what I'm talking about, I have lessons on that here on the channel on Caged. And so it was like second nature to them. And then they added in the pentatonics. And hey presto, you've got loads of awesome things, right? So how George starts, he goes, so here's, so the first chord of the round in Let It Be C. And he's just basically outlining the chord. It's G. Bending from D to E. E is in A minor. Landing on a C, which is in the chord of F. And you can see he's just like, it's a bit pentatonic-y. So initially you'll learn this and you're like, so use A minor pentatonic, right? Because it's the relative minor of C major. Clever, eh? So, like, whilst you think this is lead guitar, a bit like the Knopfler one, really he's just following the chords around and making sure, like I said at the beginning of the lesson, if you can slide into the triad or land on the triad at the end of your riff or lick or whatever it is, you can get some really cool sounds out of that, okay? So, how am I going to practice this, Simon? Well, my friends, the first thing to do is just to really get good at knowing where they are, which sounds like an obvious thing. So if you've got an E-shaped chord, I want you to, instead of be going, oh, that E, G, G, and B, that's okay to start off with, right? But I need you to be able to just B. So if we've got a song, let's invent a song. What chords will we have? What key will we play? Let's play it in C major because that's easy. Let's go, I don't know, C. G. F. Right, okay. C, G, F. So what could I do? E-shaped bar, E-shaped chord. C. Right. Add some A minor pentatonic in, right? Land on C because it's in F. Right? So C. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere, right? Right. It's pretty cool, hey? And once you get on top of that, just using those and a bit of A minor pentatonic, and I'm thinking about the chords as they run round, right? C. Okay, I better play some stuff out of C. Okay, I better play some stuff out of G. Okay, I better play some stuff out of F. Right? And so that is how you can practice it. Just set up, you don't have to have 3 chords, have 2 chords. Have 2 chords in your thing and just get used to switching between them. So that would be the first thing I would probably say to have a go at. Let's put C and G. Have nice long chords. So you've got lots of time. E-shaped ones. E shape one. Now let's try an A shape one. Remember that? It's like G. Switch between them. C. A. Whoops. Right? Oh, not A. Not A. I was thinking A shape in my head. You see, this is what happens. But you get the idea. That was an epic train crash moment, wasn't it? That was good. What I should have done. Oh, that's what I should have done. I was trying to steal Mark Knopfler's riff. This is a cool riff, actually. This is completely. A. I use that all the time, right? All I've done is I've played A, right? So this was a D shape, E shape, G shape. And what he does, and one of his things, he goes sus4, sus4, sus4. Cool, right? So imagine I do that, but in the right key. C, and then G, G. C. Look, I've done it again. Right? So you get the idea of where we're going with that. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my little notes that I followed through here in the lesson and some songs and some notes on those songs. I'll attach those to the Patreon thing. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Are there any more questions before we switch it off and I go and have a cup of coffee? If you do have any questions, just let me know. I'll just hang on here for a second to wait for them to come through. I hope that has helped. I'll just do a bit of a summary if you are watching on the repeat. We spoke about what we set out to learn was what triads are. So triads are the root, the third, and the fifth. We set aside, okay, well, how do I find those on the fretboard? Well, you think of the chords that they come from effectively, right? So that you've got E major. Swap your fingers around. F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. Okay. Then what we do is we're going to ways to sort of build phrases around them so that if you are doing that sort of C to G, so we're in C major / A minor. G. And then to kind of really sort of have a target on them so that you finish your phrase like there. I finished on a B because I knew the chord was G. And they sound awesome together. Okay? And then we spoke about some examples, like in Sultans, in Brown Eyed Girl, and all that sort of thing. A good way to do this is just like either get a loop like this and set yourself up with those two chords, or a 12-bar blues. You know, you can kind of play that sort of 12-bar blues thing in A, but put some notes from each of the major chords in there around your minor pentatonic. And there you go. Well, that went a bit longer than I thought. So it's 3/4 of an hour this morning. I've got to go and hang out with my folks. I will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. I do appreciate it. And the Patreoners, patrons, people, whatever the noun for you guys is. I really do appreciate it and really makes my life much easier. I really do appreciate the sport. I hope you do get what you need out of it. And I will see you next time. Thanks for the suggestion, Sam. That was absolutely killer. I'll put a rejigged version. Thanks, Dantown. Thanks for coming along. You can check me out at patreon.com/Simon Morel, where I will put charts and all that sort of stuff associated with this lesson. I'll see you next time. Ciao. Bye for now.